from Canadian Ambassador to the United Nations, Bob Ray. Mr. Ambassador, thanks for the time.
My pleasure. Good to be with you.
What do you make of this today and this 30-day pause and what your Prime Minister has agreed to do and what may happen next?
Well, we've been talking with the administration for quite a long time about the border measures that we need to take, and we need to take together. We all take the drug issue seriously. It needs to be dealt with, but let's not use tariffs to deal with it, because the tariffs completely upset markets and upset employment and upset jobs on both sides of the border. There's no such thing, Brett, as an American car, a Canadian car. For the most part, the big three, they make their cars on both sides of the border. And when they do that and you create the tariffs, you automatically are taxing the consumers on both sides of the border. And we have just-in-time delivery for everything that we do. And there's just no room for fooling around with the integrity of this border by any means. And tariffs are a major threat to the economic security of both our country and yours. And it's important that we get that put aside for a moment. Let's talk about the long-term trading relationship, but don't keep using tariffs as a thing that you think you can play with without understanding the consequences of that for both of our economies. Very serious.
Well, Mr. Ambassador, President Trump sees it obviously differently. He sees a trade deficit with Canada. The U.S. Census Bureau has it at $64.3 billion, but he puts it at over $100 billion, and sometimes, depending on how he talks about it, $150 billion.
Yeah, well,
either way, there is a major trade deficit with Canada. So to rectify that, they are saying, what are you going to come to the table with beyond these border provisions that the Prime Minister announced today?
Well, we have something called an agreement, a treaty, Brett, between our two countries that's been signed, sealed, and delivered.
Sure.
We have an auto pact.
It came under the Trump administration.
That's right. Well, and before that, we had one over many, many years.
NAFTA, and then it was redone.
And before that, we had an auto pact, which went back to 1964. So we've had a lot of agreements. My point is, you don't just threaten to do things which end up causing huge challenges for both countries in the marketplace. And you don't do it by putting a tax on consumers and a tax on producers. That's going to end up making the economy less efficient.
You understand the trade deficit argument.
I do, but I want to put it to you that when it comes to the overall economic relationship, when it comes to services, when it comes to tourism, when it comes to the number of Canadians who are investing in a whole variety of ways in the United States, it's a win-win situation between our two countries. And to try to say that, you say that one group says it's 60 billion, the president says one day says it's 100 billion, the next day he says it's 150 billion. Come on, give us a break here.
What do you see the number? What is the number?
I don't see the number as being a deficit, because when you look at the overall services sector of the economy, when you look at the overall investment relationships between the two countries, this is not a lose relationship for the United States. And I think it's really important for people to hear us out on this and for there to be a discussion. We are willing and want to have a serious discussion about the renewal of the current trade agreement that was negotiated with President Trump before, which is due to come in 2026. But I think to keep on threatening the tariffs at this point is a terrible idea, because, as I say, it makes your country poorer, markets go down, and investment goes down, and security goes down.
Clearly, the administration sees it as a movement today, with Mexico and Canada promising a lot that they weren't promising before.
Not true in our case. I mean, can only speak very directly on this. We've had candid conversations with the administration for a long time on what we felt we could do and what we felt needed to be done, not just for you, but also for us. And many of those expenditures were already announced by the Prime Minister many weeks ago. So we've had an ongoing discussion.
Question here.
Yep.
Mr. Ambassador, has your opinion of President Trump changed from when he first came to office in 2016, 2017?
My personal opinion? No, it hasn't changed.
Yeah. Because you wrote